Rachel, thanks so much for being on Bold Mercies today. Just so glad that you are willing to come on here and to share your story.
It's my pleasure, Heather.
So, I would just love for you to, I guess, start at the beginning of your story. And can you just tell us a little bit about your childhood and your upbringing and where you grew up?
My name is Rachel Ade Stearns. Rachel is actually my baptism name, which is I'm going to explain you that later. My Indonesian name is Ade, which is mean little girls. I was born and raised in Indonesia, and I'm married to my husband, who's born and raised in Colorado, and we met in Indonesia when he was working in the oil business. And I was raised as an only child by my mom and my dad. My dad is actually working in the TV business. He's actually the first cameraman for my country. So,
Wow.
I mean, I tell you many story that I'm in the entertainment business. So, I never really follow my dad to do that, but yeah, I was raised by my dad, who's an artistic, love art, and I was born and raised as a Muslim. As you all, as I told you earlier, I'm Indonesian, and Indonesia is the biggest Muslim country in the world. Go figure. People will think probably Saudi, but no, it's Indonesia because of the population of the people in one country who's Muslim. Therefore, in my country, like if you're not Muslim, you're the minority and you're the outcast one. So that's that was basically my background, and I was born and raised in the Muslim community. I have to do a recital Quran every day. Um, I still can read the Quran, because Quran is much more harder than the regular Arab. Because me and you, we live in the Middle East. That's how we get to
Mhm.
know each other because we live in
Yes.
Arab country. And I still can recital. I can still know all the rule of the Muslim, and yeah, and basically, I was raised as an Indonesian, Japanese, and I was just thinking Japanese as a coffee, and then I was raised a Muslim. I hope
Okay.
that's your
Okay,
question.
great. Yeah, no, that's great. Tell us, so you were raised at Indonesian, Japanese. Like, was your mom Japanese or your dad?
No, it's a Japanese. Japanese is
Oh,
like, the coffee
Japanese.
Java.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, my accent. My daughter was saying, "Mom, make sure you speak English right." I'm sorry. I'm like, Heather, no, I'm Indonesian. Anyway, case.
I do. Then all of a sudden, I was like, wait a second, I haven't heard this Japanese twist, but you don't mean, I just heard it incorrectly. You're not Japanese, you're
I'm
Japanese.
Japanese. So this is what the Japanese couple, and then this is traditional Indonesian Japanese batik, and that's a Balinese dancer behind me. I did that in purpose.
Oh, I love it. I love it. It gives us a little bit of a taste of your culture right there, of your
Yes.
home culture.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
you grew up in a very, well, from me looking in, like you grew up in a really strict Muslim family, right? And
Yes.
well, I'm
It's
not
like
saying,
Indonesia. It's not. Well, I guess it's all Indonesian has to be strict and Muslim. Because all parents, like in America, we like, if our kid, we try to do our best, but we don't push it. But in my family, like I think not just my family, in all of my Indonesian friend also, like every 6 p.m., which is every 6 p.m. that I have to do recital Quran. So that's what I have to do. So yeah.
hmm. Hmm. So in your high school years,
Hmm.
your teen years, would you have
Hmm.
said, yes, I am a Muslim and I follow Allah and I'm a strong Muslim? Would that have been your identity?
Well, if you asking me that question, I probably will not know the answer back then. But if I don't, I will be an outcast. I will be
Yeah.
minority. So I do not want to be not that. But although I'm not a good Christian, I mean, I'm not a good Muslim at that time. I mean, just like any teenager, I will do all the bad thing, which is I actually told my kid, you know, took a good part of me and took the bad part of me. Take off the big part of me because, like just like typical other Muslim, I mean, that's why right now I don't want to go back to my life because those worldly thing does not content me, does not make me happy. Because going back to my background, I mean, I was in the music in the music, TV, film industry. I was a script writer for a commercial for TV series. I was in the movie too myself, so that's more my identity. I mean, I was actually a radio DJ at that time. There's not even a TV in my country. There's one TV, which is national TV, which is in America like a PBS. That's the only
Right.
TV in my country, and then
Wow.
the rest also also on radio. So I would have that status, that I'm like on the top of the top. I mean, in my A game, this is my, I mean, and I was a radio DJ since I was middle school, not even high school. I probably still hold the youngest entertainment at that time, and I'm a radio DJ at that time. And
Right.
I was hanging out with the president grandson and all, minister grandson and all the jazz, like, so that was my
Mm.
identity. You want
Wow.
to be in top of the top, and I was in my A game basically back then,
Mm,
and all
mm.
lister and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, I think what you said is so fascinating. Whether you identified as a Muslim in high school or during your teen years or
Mm-hmm,
not, you would never
mm-hmm.
let anybody know if you were questioning at that point, because then you would be outcast. You'd be in the minority. So you really
Yes,
needed to appear like you were, whether you had the belief or not, you really needed to appear like you were
yes,
a Muslim, right?
yeah. Like during the fasting month, I fake it up in front of people that I don't eat nor drinking,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was, because in I go to Muslim school, and then so we have to pray 5 times a day, right? I mean, if you don't,
Mhm.
your listener probably don't know, the Muslim people, we pray 5 times a day. First is, I don't know in English, but it's in Indonesia we call it subuh, and then asar, which is at 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock is in the middle of the school time, because
Mhm.
so we have to pray, we have to pray,
Mhm.
like that,
Yeah, get
I mean,
down.
so
Yes.
we even do
Wash your hands.
wudu. I was so naughty, I was so naughty back then, really, in the masjid, in the mosque, you cannot wear sandal or shoes, right? This is how bad I was. I literally, if I saw sandal, I throw it away. you know I throw it away, and then like, and then I just throw it away, because people like going after masjid, like, where's my
Where's
sandals? I
and then
was
you
that
had
naughty.
thrown them away and they were gone.
I was thrown away. And then another thing was, I'm very, very naughty, because when a man or woman, after they do their wudu, they cannot touch another person, I cannot touch a man, or man cannot touch me. Then you're cancel out. So you have to do it again. And this is how bad I was. Like, all the guys who's coming out from the male toilet, I touched them, like, and they're like, stop, I have to go back again. Like, so I was that naughty, as a Muslim.
Oh, those are funny stories, Rachel. Those are funny stories.
That is a
So
funny stories, yeah.
then you were raised in a Muslim family, going to Muslim school, keeping up the Muslim traditions. And
Mm-hmm.
then you went to school, and I know that you were in the top of your A game with your industry within the
Entertainment
music.
industry, yeah. I
Yeah.
was I was a modeling to myself, in a magazine and stuff like that. Does not look right now, but yeah, back then I did.
I've seen pictures. You still are beautiful. You were beautiful.
Thank you.
So tell us about how in the world did this Muslim girl become a Christian and start following Jesus?
Well, right now in America, like a lot of my Muslim friends, I know that they are Muslim. They they change religion because of marriage.
Mhm.
I wasn't that way. I was Actually, I want to shout out to my client later on, that now they came to Indonesia in the banking industry. So going back to my background as an entertainment business, basically, I already behind the camera, because I was in the front of camera, being a model, being an actress myself, being in a radio DJ myself. So I'm starting behind the camera. I'm being the writer. I'm being the producer. I'm editing it, and I'm cameraman, all the back behind the camera. The
Mhm.
money is actually not on the TV, at that time. The money is actually when you make an event for company,
Mhm.
for uh, TV series and all a TV commercial. And then at that time, my client is a bank company. Is a bank company. They need to make production for the company profile. So this client of mine, many times, because you have to draw what are they want, blah 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 blah. So I met with this couple are Filipino, by the way.
Okay.
So my client is the husband. So my other producer is also Filipino. So both of us going to his office, and then the wife just happened to be there, and the wife like, oh, Ade, let's come dinner in my house. Come dinner again, food, right?
Yes.
And I said, first of all, who reject food? Second
Right.
of all, they're
Nobody.
my client. I have to go, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm going to like, okay, yeah, okay. I want to shout out to Jess Lantin and Jerry Lantin. They were my client back then, and they are right
Mm.
now a full pastor in Philippines.
Wow.
So
Wow.
and then they invite me to, of course, we eating, and then
Mhm.
there's another thing with Asian people. When they have a church, they always have eat before or after. Nowadays I can tell that here in America it always has to be food. It just like my kids love it, so anyway,
Yes.
after eating, the wife said, let's go everybody to the living room. Okay, okay, I just follow, go to the living room. When I got to the living room, somebody started playing piano, and then the song was Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, and save a wreck like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. That was the highlight. I mean, who does never? I mean, everybody always hear the Amazing Grace, right? But I never know the sentence when I was in Indonesia, I mean, hear that. But I was lost when I found. And I said, you know what? Maybe I do lost, you know, but I don't know what I'm lost of. Okay, and then after that sing, I just sing that song because they give the list, of the lyric I sing, and I feel like, oh my God, this is make me feel so good. I feel so happy, peace. Now I can say the word peace, but at that time I just feel like so warm inside my heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Jess, the one at that time was my client, right, for this bank company.
Mhm.
He started doing the sermon. On the sermon, he was saying like this. Um, Basically, I actually write it down the verse for you, right? So
Yes.
the verse
Yeah.
that he was saying is from the Revelation 3:20. At that time, I don't know what it is, but because I was now following Christ since 1996, I can look it up the verse. So the first is, here I am, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hear my voice and open the door, I will come and eat with that person, and they are with me. So as a Asian people, eating together, which is now I know the English verse of an English sentence for that is mean dine.
Yes.
That time I don't know, like eat together, it's mean dine. And then he explained it to me, dine meaning like you not just and then you eat, you talk, you
Mhm.
feel together with that person. And as an Asian, when somebody even invite you for eating and that person actually willing to come eat with you, I'm saying with you inside the house, that
Mhm.
meaning that person like you. Like for instance, we have
Mm.
lunch the other day, right?
Yeah.
And then I forgot who is invite who, but anyway, we have lunch, right?
We connected, right.
we have lunch, we have the dine part, right? But
Right.
if I invite you, hey, Heather, can you come to my house? I'm cooking Indonesian food. For you willing to come to my house, that's a big deal. And for you to eat at my house is a big deal, meaning you like me, you want to have relationship with me. And that's what that was that just explained it to me. That verse is. The question is, when Heather knocked on the door, did you open the door? Meaning, like when Jesus knocked on the door, did you open the door and let them in and dine and spend time with you? And then he explained it to me. You understand how Asian people love to eat. They hang out together on and food. So that's a culture, that's a culture. So and I say, yeah. And I say, I never really know whose God is. I can memorize all my Quran. I still can even read the Quran, which is the
The
holy
holy
book for the
book.
Muslim.
Mhm.
I can even still recital the first chapter of the Quran. Um, I mean, I'm totally tell you that I was a bad Muslim, but that does not mean that, some people was like, yeah, if when you're a Muslim, you don't seek for God, like now I can tell. For me, I don't want to be my Muslim friend angry to me, for me personally, I don't change religions. I follow Jesus because I want to open the door uh, for Jesus to come to my heart. I mean, we can go back again. Right now I can study it again. We believe the Muslim believe that the one that judge at the end of the day is Isa, which is we believe that's who Jesus is. And if everybody asking me, so why did you change religion? I say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't change religion. I'm a Jesus follower. I am. Because even in the Quran said that Isa is the one who's going to judge at the end of the day. So I want to go to heaven. I want to make sure that, they open the door for me. For instance, I mean, I'm in your neighborhood, right? I'm in your neighborhood, and then there is a riot. And then if I knock on your house, if you don't know me, you're not going to open the door for me, right, Heather?
Right.
That's the same thing for me. I want Jesus to open the door for me.
Wow. That is so beautiful and it's so powerful. And
Oh,
I am so blown away. I assume you were very close, like you became very close with this couple, with your clients, this couple, Jess. And what was Jess's wife's name?
Jerry.
Jerry.
Her name is Geraldine, actually.
Okay, so Jess and Jerry, is that right?
Uh-huh.
So,
Yes.
I assume that you developed a very close relationship with them and they began discipling you?
Yeah, they do. They do. They did discipling with me and with my other producer. Remember, I told you that I actually came to that meeting with my producer named Charmel, and Lord behold, she moved to America too. She's in Phoenix, Arizona, where my
Right.
daughter is. So,
Wow.
so they're discipling to me. They're discipling to me for a year. I don't want to say the word Jesus. I don't. I go to Bible study
Like
to their house.
secretly? Are you going secretly?
Um, Maybe secretly, because at that time I already have my own house. I already live outside the house, which is that's another weird thing is in Indonesia, you don't live outside your family. I mean, even you married, you still live here with your parents.
Right, right.
So I just go to Bible study in their house every weekend because they're still
Okay.
my client. I still
Yes.
feel I have to come. And then who does not have a free food, right?
Right.
So that's what I was. Everybody always asking me, how did those people like make you follow Jesus? I said, well, it's always come with the food. Who does not wanna who rejecting a food, right? So
Right.
so I
Wow.
always come every week to their house, and learn little by little.
Wow. So what well, I guess I should ask it this way, like, when did you tell your parents, and what was their response?
My dad, I told you that my dad is the first Indonesian cameraman, and he actually go to school in German.
Mhm.
He go to school in Bonn. I think it's Bohrn. I'm not saying I don't know how to spell it,
Okay.
pronounce
Yeah.
it. So he's a very smart person. And all of my
Mhm.
dad side of the family are a very very successful people. One of them is actually attaché militaire for the naval for Indonesia in Australia and passed away. Also, my uncle also head of the police chief in Japanese. So all of my family side, but from my dad's side, are very very smart people. So the reason why I'm saying this is because my dad is actually accept that, but he cannot say, okay, I will,
Yeah.
protect you. But this is when my mom know about that, my mom said, I rather have a bleed daughter than a Christian daughter. So, I normally, me as a person, I normally like, oh, let's go fight this, No, but in this time, I can say the word of like, I have so much peace. That's what my choice is, right? Because Jesus, like, really said in my ear until today, even if I have a problem, any problem, with a lot of situation in my ears, I always hear Jesus say, I will take care of you. So that's what make me my faith is based on what Jesus said to me. I will take care of you. So now I can say that, it's okay. My mom does not want me. sis disowned me because I'm a Christian more than all the bad thing that I did in my life. But she disowned me because I'm being a Christian. My dad, in the other hand, this is what he said. He said, "I'm okay. No, this is not what. This is what I believe. What you believe is good. I can see the goodness in you, but you have to understand me." That's very deep, isn't it? So
Mhm.
I kind of like explain it to be like this. I understand your choice to be Christian is good, but I cannot accept you because this is society.
Yeah,
So I was leaving the house not because of my mom, but I leave the house because I respect my dad, you know.
yeah, yeah. That must have been so crushing to you, though, to lose that relationship with your mom and dad.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yeah, no, that must have been just so hard for you to lose that relationship with your mom and dad.
It is, but at the end, somehow the voice of Jesus saying in my ear, "I'll take care of you," is bigger than anything, you know.
It's so
And
beautiful, Rachel. Wow.
until today, I still cling on that, I still cling
Yeah,
on that. I'll take care of you, which is, um, as I now following Jesus, of course, I study Bible. It's mean like the verse of "I will never leave you nor forsake you." I believe that's on Deuteronomy 31:6, and
yeah,
said, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." And I always believe, if I know that Jesus put in my heart, I always believe He's in front of me, He's behind me, He's beside me. So whatever I'm going through in front of me, as long as um, He's with me, I'm okay.
yeah, yeah. Wow. Wow, it's such a testimony, such a powerful story of how you were just willing to say, I'll literally lose everything for the sake of
Mm-hmm.
following Jesus and for the sake of knowing you, Jesus.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, I mean, if you saw my life now, what what the message that, like probably people think like, what such a why you are you bragging or anything? No, it's depend how people look at my life is. For me, I will never have all of this, including my son to be in the academy right now, and Isaiah was very successful. I could never have all of this if I did not follow Jesus.
Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. So tell me the story about how you learned to how you fell in love with God's word.
So as I told you, that my first year, for me, there's a church that it's like a feel good church. That's basically what I feel when I was in the Bible study at Jess
Yeah.
and Jerry house every week. I go to church at that time too with them because they're picking me up. I
Mhm.
remember that morning they're picking me up, and then it was in the Hilton International Church. It was
Mhm.
my pastor was from Seattle, so I'm actually based. If I don't really know how to read Indonesian Bible. Like, because I don't understand that. Like the
Yeah.
word is just not following my heart. But for me, Bible before was just like an English wording.
Yeah.
Not now I can see, like, the word is coming out is when I was actually in Doha. There's just, I mean, like, I met you in Doha, and then you are actually from the military. At that time, Doha does not really have a pastor. We just have come and go people do the service, and then people from America are supposed to come at that time to open our church, in the religious city. But that person is actually got denied coming in. So I thank God from the Air Force church at that time. Their chaplain at that time was Pastor Harville, Pastor Ron Harville. He actually, because our church is on Friday and you guys church are on Sunday, so that's why he was filling in for months and months, because I don't know what's the background of that one, but for months and months he was there. And the wife Marcia was actually also with us. By the way, Heather, she is actually very good to do my Bible study. The reason why, from so many people teaching that Bible study at that time, that verse, I think Daniel 7, what was it,
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
that you teach?
Yeah. Yeah.
No matter how hard I read that chapter. I cannot understand. But you just like did it to me, especially about that storm, about the Daniel 7, about that storm. Like reading, I didn't get it, but when you teaching it, it makes sense to me. So anyway,
Awesome.
this is
Yeah.
before Heather was
Yeah,
in.
before I lived in Doha.
Before you live in Doha, Marsha Harwell was actually offering precept upon precept, and I
Mm,
said, what is this? Like, okay lah, I sign up, I signed up for that because we have a two class at that time. Marsha teaching and Gina was teaching. I
mhm,
forgot what the other one, but because she was teaching the First Corinthian, right?
mhm,
At that time, before Marsha, for me, Bible is just word, English word,
mm,
does not mean anything for me. But
mm.
when Marsha teaching me that First Corinthian precept upon precept, it makes so much sense for me. Makes so much sense because I never learned in or on, and then remind you that I grew up in Indonesian,
Right.
and then my children still complain with my English also, till today, so, but I never understand what therefore mean, like when you read therefore, there's a sentence before that. Because of that, I start like looking at Bible as literally,
Mm,
oh, I see, this makes sense. Therefore, that's what Marsha teach me.
yeah,
But
I
from
love
there,
that.
it's come alive, it's come alive. And then at that time, I forgot. And then at that time, before our Daniel, I think Gina was teaching the Genesis book, and then another. I love it because, like, oh my God, I love this. I think now I can say why I enjoy the Old Testament because as a ex-Muslim, that's how I learn. So many law, so many law in my throat, and that's why I like the Old Testament. But then again, I remember Jess and Jerry back then, when I started becoming Christian. I start reading Genesis and Deuteronomy and Number. I'm like, I don't get this. I don't get it. And then they always said to me, Rachel, at that time they call me Ade. Ade, does not mean anything. Jesus already come. That he, replacing all the law. Hey, at that time, hey.
Yes,
But
right.
now I can say, I'm glad that, I learned all the Old Testament. So when I read the New Testament, I don't get it. Why didn't people just all become Christian? It's easy. I
Right.
know that I'm not a good person. I'm still make so many mistakes, but then because of Jesus who died on the cross to me, he was make me wash away. But does not mean there's no consequences. You know, I say sometimes make people mad at me, but I know the consequences. But I know when I confess it to Jesus,
Yeah.
he
Mhm.
said, you are as brand new as a cloud,
Mm,
white as a cloud. So
mm,
that's what make me like about the Bible.
mm.
Everything just come alive to me.
Yeah. I love that so much. I love that you can kind of look back on your life and see people who have really impacted your faith. Well, obviously, Jess and Jerry just, like in a sense, just like doing what they probably do normally. And you were just
Yeah,
there and
yeah,
inviting you into the living room and then the seeds that they planted and it just,
yeah,
and then Marcia as well. I'm sure that there's been other
yeah.
people along the way. It
And
just,
you,
thank you.
and you
It,
too.
it just makes me just remember, like, when we're in conversation with people, faith conversation with people, like, we don't know the seeds that we're planting. Like,
Yes, that's
you know
right.
what I mean? Like, we don't know what we
Mm-hmm.
are sharing with other people, just having
Mm-hmm.
people in our home.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know. Like, we don't know. Only the
Yeah.
Holy Spirit knows. But to be open and to be bold to speaking God's word, right? To
Yeah.
and that is when the seeds will be planted. And I just love that you can look back and you can kind of trace your history and be like, there were people that God put in my life that
Mm-hmm.
really helped develop and grow and strengthen
Yeah.
your faith.
Lastly, to highlight about that too, when there's the lady that asking me in the Bible study here in America lately said, so how do I, minister to a non-believer? I said, if I can look back what Jess and Jerry did to me, there's nothing that they suffer in my throat about Jesus. They just love me. They just kind to me. They just being sweet. So if I did not do bad, if I don't do what Jesus follow, then I will do just I have to I have to say so. Sorry.
I hear your husband
Sorry,
back
my
there.
husband yelling at me to the dog because he's like barking to the. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's so
I
life. We're
told him
so
that because
normal.
so basically they just being kind to me. So if I not following Jesus right now, it remind me, they are Jesus ambassador to me.
Yeah.
They're kind, they love, and they're just being ambassador to Jesus to
Mm.
me at that time.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so powerful. It, like, gives me goosebumps on my arm. I'm like, "Oh, it's so powerful." So
Yeah,
go ahead.
because I told them if you talk about non-believer, once you would say the word Jesus, they like walk away. They run as fast as they could. But if you follow what Jesus do, like what would Jesus do? That's how you track. That's how I get in track with Jess and Jerry because they're nice and they're sweet and they're
They had
kind.
you in their
Yeah,
home. They had you in
yeah,
their
they're in the
home, which
home.
was huge.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. So awesome. So
Yeah.
I would love to know like your how has your faith impacted your family as you now have well obviously a husband and then your three kiddos. How can you see how your faith has impacted your family?
Well, I just make it sure that I always got used to it. Like after, I always take them to church, no matter what. There's no excuse. Even when our kid going to the Bible study together. Like my daughter Casey, the same group as Jonah, right? She always like, Mom, can I sleep over? No, you sleep over after the youth group. I'll take you to your friend, stuff like that. So there's no excuse for them for not going to the church, and there's no excuse for them not going to the Bible study. And because of that, that's I think I was being surrounded by other people that teaching them, when we live in Doha. And but now I also believe from the verse number 6:24 to 26 that like my children will be protected. They will never far from me. So my children and their children and their children. And I saw that in my husband, like because right now back in America, we going to the church that his grandmother go to. Like, and sometimes I'm looking at like how he go Bible study. I'm like looking at like why, wow, must be Nana's turn happy with him going to the church. And I'm thinking, maybe this is her prayer, his children and his children. And so now I believe on that verse, number 6:24-26. Even though sometimes our kid, but I also believe, they will go back, they will go back, even maybe past them, my grandkid is gonna be go back, like what happened to my husband, so
That
that's
is
what
so
I think.
great. It just is such a great reminder for all of us that our prayers don't go unwasted. I love this thought that you had that maybe this was your husband's grandma's prayer and here your husband is back in the church and at the same church that she was
Yeah,
going to and I just love that. You don't know, right? What you're praying for, what
right.
generational impacts that will have.
Yeah, and I want to say this to your listener too. My husband first time going to church by himself, he met Ben.
Yes, right in Doha.
In Doha. I was all of us in Bali, and then he just go to church by himself out of the blue. I really want to hear next time when we get together. How did Ben talk to my husband? Because my husband is not a talking person, So
Ben must have Ben is looks for the people maybe that are alone and maybe he was standing by himself. I don't know. We'll have to ask Ben next time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Well,
that's what I believe, that um, our faith has to be connected to Christ, and then the rest is He taking care of it. I guess the verse of seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything will be taken care, right?
yes, yes. Wow.
Yes.
Well, this has all been really awesome. And in closing, I would love to ask you outside of Jesus and the Bible and your family, we've kind of talked about those things. Outside of that, what is one thing making you happy right now?
Well, one is friend, friend, make me happy. But now I lately realize, you have to find the right friend, like a Christian friend. And second, I love to sewing, as you know that.
Oh,
I
yes,
love
I've seen.
painting,
Yes.
and I lately doing the embroidery by machine, which is that's behind me. I cover it, so that's what make me happy.
That's great. And you've been doing a lot of sewing and posting it on Facebook, and that's been a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, that's hobby basically.
Yeah.
Just add you to it, to because sometimes when I'm sewing by myself, I get used to it, sewing by myself in Doha. When all the kids are sleeping, I listen to the sermon while I'm sewing. It
Mm.
is the best in my life.
Mm. Oh, and you're a new empty nest mom with your youngest just going off to college. So now you have just a little bit more time to invest in your hobby, right?
Yes, too much time. Yeah.
I know, I would feel that too with my kid. If my all my kiddos headed out, I would take a take it would take me some time to figure out what in the world to do with the extra time. So you are
Yeah,
filling it in
because
lovely ways.
my kid is none of them go to school in America. You know that.
Right,
So
right.
me volunteering at the Colorado Parents Club is always an excuse, because they always said, anybody want to sign up for making a goodie bag for Halloween? I'm just sign up.
You're like, "Yes, yes, you can have 2,400 children, right, at the Air Force
Yeah.
Academy."
Speaking about that, I'm cleaning up my basement as my son Jay bringing five more cadet to messing around in my house.
Oh, fun. Oh, so fun. Well,
Yeah.
fun, fun. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for being on the podcast today. Thank you for just sharing your story so honestly, so brilliantly. You can tell all of your children that your English was absolutely perfect. And I am just so amazed how God just had you chosen for a very specific purpose and plan in your life, and that you just trusted Him when it would have been easy to turn back. So, thank you so much for sharing the story today. We really, really appreciate you.
You're welcome and my pleasure. God bless you.
Thanks, Rachel. All right. Don't go anywhere because we're going to